Hello guys, today I have a review for you of the MZ1 Wireless. You might not know, but this mouse was designed by RocketJumpNinja in collaboration with Xtrify. He designed it with the goal of building a mouse that he could personally aim the best with, and hopefully anyone who has a similar grip style and hand size. Now, you might already be thinking, since it was built for him, by him, it's not a safe recommendation, but if it clicks, it can be really good. Now for the contents of the box, besides the mouse, the dongle and the adapter, we have a very flexible cable that is perfectly usable when you need it. And there are no included grips, but you get a sticker. Wow! The quick start guide and some replacement skates for when the pre-installed ones eventually wear out. Now what I did find very interesting was the included extra hump, and it does come with a screwdriver, so you don't need one. And we'll get into more detail for this hump later. As for the clicks, they feel really good. One of the best I tried so far, and they have very little pre-travel and very little post-travel. And actually, post-travel is kind of average, but it feels better than it should because as you press more, the resistance gets bigger and bigger, so it ends up feeling as if there was less post-travel than there actually is. The clicks themselves feel crisp as hell and very light. The webpage says it has KLGM 8.0 switches, which a lot of people seem to like. And the only issue I found with it was that the right click seems to have a little bit of a side wobble, but nothing I can notice in game. It's only noticeable when purposefully moving it like this. And this is a closer look at the right click side wobble. As I said, it's very minor and you can't really notice it when clicking. I had a couple of instances in game where I had trouble actuating the wheel, but once I realized why it happened, I was able to adjust. But if you try it for yourself, it might throw you off sometimes at first. The side buttons feel pretty good when you click them. They have a bit lower than average pre and post travel, at least the front one, because for some reason the rear side button has more pre and post travel, but within acceptable limits. I don't know if it's on purpose or not, just something to note. And here is a closer look at the pre and post travel of the side buttons. You can see there's a lot more post travel on the rear button. Overall, the build quality is pretty solid. I didn't feel any creaking or flexing anywhere other than the small side-to-side movement on the right click that I mentioned earlier. And the skates are medium sized with different shapes in the front and back. They feel medium speed. I personally don't have any complaints using them on a glass pad. Now for the sensor, it has a 3370, which hasn't had any issues on a glass pad. And other than that, there's not much to talk about in these modern sensors. Now for the most interesting part, which is the shape. It's very unique and there's nothing else like it. The closest I can describe it as is like if you took a Cooler Master M712 or Pulsar X2H Mini and made it throw it back, made the right side flat and added comfort grooves. But that's only half of it, because you also get another shell, another back hump. And that one is even more unique. The only thing that comes to mind that is kind of close are the G305 and Orochi backs, but wider and flatter. And here's a comparison to some of the other most aggressive back humps that I have. That was the Pulsar X2H Mini, and this is the MZ12. As you can see, they aren't even that close, but even with these two being aggressive back humps, you can see that there's nothing like this. In terms of in-game performance, I do agree that this mouse gives you a lot of potential for micro adjustments. However, the downside for me is that on large movements where I need more stability, this mouse is a bit too tall with the default back hump and a bit too small with the lower hump. What I mean is that with the default hump, most of the weight of my hand is resting on the very top of this hump, which makes me lose stability since it feels like I'm doing most of the aiming with that section, like this. And with the smaller replacement hump, I don't have enough contact on the back for the stability I prefer, but it did improve things a bit for me since the contact is more even. But in general, with both humps, this mouse for me feels like it makes my hand dumb, like I have to think to aim. It's not intuitive like the G305 or the MM712 or even the Turtle Beach Pure Air. And what those have in common is that the hand contact from my claw grip is more even than the MC1 and they still allow me to use my fingers when appropriate. In other words, it feels like I'm doing fingertip aim even on a claw grip. But to be fair, this is what the MC1 was designed for, mostly. A fingertip that is equal or similar to RocketJumpNinja's fingertip, which I believe is like this. I can play close to my usual level with the MC1, but I just don't feel as confident with my aim. It might just be that the mouse is too small or narrow for my 19.5 by 9 hands, but I would be curious to try a bigger version of this mouse with a flatter hump. Now this mouse is advertised at 62 grams, and on my scale it comes at 62 grams. Nice. And speaking of weight, it has two screws on the bottom, here and here, and with those you can adjust the weight by moving some components inside, and that's the range of motion that you get. I would say it works pretty good. I thought the default weight balance was a little bit too far back, so I moved it a little bit forward and it felt much better. Now as for the battery, the website claims it's 50 milliamp hours and 75 hours of use, and with the charge that it had, which I think was around 50%, I had to charge it around the week mark, so it seems average in terms of modern battery life. And if you turn the RGB off like it did, you will get good results. Now, in terms of software, there is no software, but you can change the settings with button combinations such as with Zoimize, and you can either find it on the website or use the included guide in a box. For connectivity, it has wireless 2.4 or wired. It does not have Bluetooth. If you need that, well, you might need to look somewhere else. And the polling rate is up to 1000 Hz, and the wireless feels flawless like most modern mice. I personally don't need 2 or 4 kHz, but if I'm given the option, I wouldn't complain. In conclusion, this is a risky shape that some people don't like and some others love. It's very polarizing, but If you think you will like something like this, I encourage you to try it. And that's all for this review. Like and sub if you liked it, and thanks for watching.